Michael walked through the park, his steps echoing in the quiet of the night. He enjoyed these walks, finding the solitude calming after a long day. As he rounded a bend in the path, he saw her. She was standing on a balcony of a house nearby, looking out into the night. She was beautiful, with long, dark hair and bright eyes that shone like diamonds in the moonlight. Michael smiled and waved, and she returned the gesture. He felt a thrill of excitement and curiosity. He was enchanted by her. She wasn't like any other woman he had seen. Her aura seemed to emanate all the way from the distance. Who was she? He had to meet her. The next night, Michael went back to the park, hoping to catch another glimpse of the mysterious woman. He arrived a bit early, eager to see if she would appear, but she did not. He waited for a while, pacing back and forth on the path, but eventually gave up and went home. Michael returned the following evening at the same time as before. This time, she was there again, standing on the balcony. He walked a bit closer, trying to see the house more clearly. It was an old mansion with a sprawling yard and a winding driveway. Michael had never noticed it before. He decided to find out more about the house and the woman who lived there. The next day, Michael spent hours searching for the house where he had seen it, but he could not find it anywhere. He tried looking for any information he could find about the house or its owners, but he came up empty-handed. There was no record of the house or the woman he had seen. It was as if they did not exist. That night, Michael returned to the park, determined to get closer to the woman on the balcony. As he approached the house, he noticed something odd. The house was not there. At least not the way it had been before. It was as if the entire property had been transformed. The yard was overgrown with weeds. The windows were boarded up, and the front door hung off its hinges. Michael felt a chill run down his spine. Had he imagined the house and the woman? He tentatively stepped onto the property, feeling like an intruder. The house creaked and groaned as he walked inside. It was dark and musty, with an air of abandonment. Michael called out, "Hello!" His voice echoed through the empty house. There was no response. He walked through the rooms, searching for any clues as to what had happened to the people who had lived there. While going through the items left behind, he found a picture covered in dirt with a caption underneath it. "Our dearest Claire, it's been 10 years since you left us, but each day we remember your smiling face as if it's still there with us, remembering you on your birthday, 23rd April, 1975. Michael wiped off the dirt, revealing the face of the woman he had seen on the balcony. She was Claire. She had been dead for over 20 years. Michael felt a pang of sadness for this woman he had never known, but had become obsessed with. He stood up, holding the frame, and in the reflection, he saw Claire standing behind him. She looked solemn, her eyes sad and haunted. Suddenly, the air was filled with an otherworldly howl. It sounded like a broken siren that seemed to emanate from everywhere and nowhere at once. The windows rattled and the floor shook, and he was sure the house was about to collapse around him. The sirens grew louder. And Michael felt a sense of urgency. He had to leave, and he had to leave now. And then, Just as suddenly as it had started, the noise stopped. The house was silent except for his own ragged breaths. He turned slowly, heart pounding in his chest, to face Claire. But she was gone. All that stood there was an empty, abandoned house. As he rushed out of the house, he heard something chasing him. Something that sounded like 100 footsteps pounding the floorboards. He didn't dare to look back. He ran out of the house, through the yard, and back to the park. He collapsed on a bench, panting and sweating. When he looked up, he saw the park was dense with fog. It had been clear before. He felt uneasy. There was overgrowth everywhere. It's as if the park had not been maintained for years. He ventured outside the park and noticed that the city wasn't the same as before. The shops were boarded up, windows shattered, and the most he could see was a few 100 meters ahead. He was in a nightmare, one he did not know how to wake up from.